Hello, everybody. Hey, Ken Faulkner, coming to you again with another Grail video because I did another one. I did a part one. This is part two. If you missed part one, maybe go back a couple videos and you'll see it. I got some great responses in the comments on that last one. People talking about what they consider to be a Grail, and everybody's got different perspectives. And I love that. I think it's great. It's kind of like if everybody thought the same way about knives, then all the channels, all the YouTube channels, you only need one because there would be only one perspective. But and the thing is that I like to watch videos from people who have different ideas about what makes a knife great, you know. And then that's why you have videos or channels that are more about fixed blades, more about slip joints, more about high-end knives, more about budget knives. So I love the fact that there's a wide variety, and I prefer it that way. And I kind of mix it up quite a bit, but you can see if you looked at the other Grail video and this Grail video, they're all modern folders. And, you know, that's just a reality. That's my preference. And doesn't mean that I have less respect for somebody who likes to collect other types of knives. It's just what I am interested in. I do collect other types of knives, but they don't quite reach this level. So, you know, that's it. I think I probably get too much into my head about things, but like laying out the knives. You see a lot of people do this, right? I've seen a lot of people do it. That's where I got the idea. You lay out the knives and you do the photo for the thumbnail, and it's so maybe they can't really tell what knife it is. But then if you look at this one here, you're probably gonna figure out at least what company this one's from. Some of these other ones may be fairly easy to guess, but anyway, you know, that's kind of what we do, I guess, when we do thumbnails and things like that. You don't want to try to intrigue people into watching the video. You know, and if you don't want to watch my videos, I am not insulted, guys. If you like watching my videos, it makes me happy. You know, I appreciate it very much. So let's get into it. We got 5 knives here. I always take a long time. I'll try to keep it from rambling too bad. These are the second batch. The first batch kind of were ones that I kind of felt like they kind of became grails along the way. More short-term type grail, but some of these knives are ones that from early day, you know, I've only been collecting really at probably like 5 years now or something like that. Serious collecting of knives. And when I say collecting, it doesn't mean I didn't have knives before. It's just I wasn't like into all the brands. You know, if you have friends that you want to tell them all about your new such and such brand knife that came out, it's the latest and greatest, and you want to tell them about it, and they're at work with you. They're not really knife people, and they kind of go, "Oh, well, I don't even know what that is." It's a little bit hard. So then we come on here, do YouTube videos, so that you guys can see a knife like this and go, "Ooh, that's kind of cool." Not the most unusual knife out there, but certainly for me in my early collecting, I heard about them, I wanted them, but I didn't have anything from Hinderer. Hinderer knives, definitely from the early days, was one of the ones that I heard about. Everybody's making a big deal about them. There's even that guy, Hinderer Collector. I haven't seen him much lately in YouTube, but certainly he was around quite a bit, and he's got a huge collection of them. And it seems like that's more almost exclusively what he likes to buy. This is so sometimes there's a brand, I talked about it in the last one, there's a brand that's kind of like a Grail brand, and then I kind of pick my favorite out of the brand. But this is the XM-18. Really, the XM-24 also was one that I I had my eye on and still do, and don't own yet. But XM-18 was the one that I really heard about from the beginning, and everybody was talking about, and I was really excited about it. This is a great knife. I really like this knife as far as the feel in the hand. I mean, it's not all titanium. This has I think you get some of these with G10 on them, but this one actually has micarta, which I really like micarta. I think other than titanium or certain types of carbon fiber, micarta is my favorite. And this one has a really grippy, good micarta, great feel, and so it's definitely up there amongst those handle materials for me. The whole look of it, just the way all the screws are, and then you got the titanium side over here, and yeah, this one's been through some stuff. It's got some scratches on the clip, but I feel like this is a user knife. Others might think that you gotta save queen it, but this is just a really good user. As far as it feels great in the hand, it doesn't just look good. It feels good in the hand. It's got this cool shape where it kind of gets thick up here. You just got that swedge here, and it thickens up, so you got a little bit more robust at the tip. Just a great drop point shape, which is like definitely one of my favorite shapes. It's got a good finger choil that's usable. You can choke back here, and it's got this little finger groove that works like the choil to lock you in. So very locked in. A little bit of jimping back here. Clip works great. I mean, it's not deep carry. Probably there's some people that don't really like the clip, but it's got a nice wide place here that when you go to put it in the pocket, it scoops in there pretty easily. You're not fighting it going in and out of the pocket, but it still holds it in place. It's got this weird filler tab that I know has some kind of purpose, but I haven't really figured out what that is right here. I'm sure that has something to do with, I don't know, maybe the stop pin, or I'm not really sure. Maybe somebody in the comments will let me know. It's got a flat head right here, and I know that drives some people crazy because they want to have just like one tool. Doesn't really bother me. Nice finish on the blade too. It's some kind of a stone wash or blast of some sort. This is an M390 blade. I know a lot of them are in MagnaCut nowadays, and I know MagnaCut is like the big latest and greatest. But M390 is great. Hinderer, in my opinion, Hinderer on there, kind of engraved into the handle. Yeah, it's a really good knife. Action is amazing. Flicks out with authority. Love this knife. Next one is another one of those knives that is iconic, I guess it would be a good word. I mean, I really think Hinderer is an iconic knife company. And so is Strider. And I only have one Strider. I have a couple of Hinderers. But most of these are ones that I only have one of. Yeah, everything except for the Hinderer I only have one of. So Strider was one of those ones I always heard about, but I really wasn't quite as excited about getting. It probably would have been my last choice as far as these brands until I got it, until I actually got the knife and realized what's going on with this handle, this weird handle shape. You know, it comes out in like a, I don't know, it's kind of weird. You know how it tapers down here to this again with the finger groove and great finger choil. It feels really good in hand, and so this is another one that's going to be a worker. I mean, it's something that's going to be used. It's on washers. Oh, by the way, this is the tri-way. This one has the tri-way. You can see the thing on there, but clearly I got this one on washers because of just the action of it. Is definitely closing shut a little bit easier. This one's on washers. I did say bearings on this, right? This one's on bearings. So on washers, you're going to have that more hydraulic kind of feel, but no problem getting open or closed. Just not quite as free swinging. That could be a good thing if you're worried about your fingers getting cut off. But you know, as long as you're careful, you'll be all right. But this flare at the back, and actually this tire tread. Now, this one was one that, like I said, I wasn't really so much shopping for, but the opportunity became available, and it definitely was one of those iconic brands. And I kind of like to get these brands in my collection. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit more of a fervent search, and other times if it just happens to happen, that's what's going on. Tiger stripe, really not my favorite, but it's kind of goes with the knife. I mean, you see so many of the mixed strider knives with that tiger stripe, or the ZTs as well with the tiger stripe. So, I mean, it's not something that I seek out in a lot of knives, and I don't think a lot of companies actually have that tiger stripe. It just kind of goes along with this brand. But yeah, great knife, great feel. It's also that drop point, so it's very typical of what I feel is the best knife shape out there for use. Speaking of which, we got the one with the lanyard that I've kept on there. And I think it's kind of because of the same thing about the tiger stripe thing. It just kind of goes with the knife. Another iconic knife, obviously, Chris Reeve. Now, the one that I always heard about from Chris Reeve is the Sabenza. And that's kind of the one that I was thinking I was going to get. This is one that both of these I bought used, and they just came out as an opportunity to buy, and I jumped on it. In both cases, people were buying it to raise money, and they were friends of mine. But this one here, I got a bonus from work, and I had decided this is what I'm going to buy. I'm going to get this knife. And so I went to go get it, and I know B's had a Sabenza, and he had only thumb studs on one side. I have some knives that are kind of like that have that screw in from one side, but there's no thumb stud on the other side. And this one is also on washers, and it's known to be something that you want to just slow roll. But in reality, you can flick it out. It doesn't come out with the kind of whack sound that a bearing would have, ball bearing knife would have. But yeah, the washers work great, and you feel the precision in the knife. And that's something that when you get into higher end knives like this, and probably what makes it to be a Grail, is the fact that it is so well machined. The fit and finish is so good that's what draws people to it and causes it to become an iconic knife. It's got that drop point again. By the way, this is the Inkosi, and the Inkosi is very similar to the Sabenza, and this is a large Inkosi because I do like that larger knife. You can see size-wise, pretty close. Strider might be a little shorter, unless you go all the way out to this end of the handle, then maybe they're about the same. But yeah, if I'm gonna buy the knife, I'm gonna go for the larger one, the 3.5 inch blade. That's gonna be my choice. This bead blasted titanium looks really cool. It also has that engraving in here, Idaho made, not even just USA, but Idaho made. Which basically means the same thing. And then it's got the Chris Reeves symbol there. It's got the cool inlaid micarta. I believe that's micarta. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. It doesn't have the texture that this micarta has, but it still has that cool look, kind of almost like a wood grain sort of look to it. This is the one with like the 2 stripes rather than being completely covered with one inlay. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I do have knives that I do have lanyards on purpose, but very few. And I just feel like it just goes with the knife. So I don't really have an issue with it. It does have this little notch here. Maybe someone can tell me what that is, right? I mean, it's kind of like that little filler tab on here. It's like I don't really know exactly what's going on with that little notch there. And it probably has a purpose. I mean, I think that these are very purpose designed knives, like the great jimping on here. And if you look at it, it's almost like there's a slight unevenness to the jimping, because like every third one looks like a little bit wider. And maybe there's a purpose for that. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a cool look. It does have finger grooves here. No place to choke up, but full size handle. Definitely fits my hand. And I feel that this is a great user knife as well. So even though these are higher end knives and some people would have them as safe queens, I still use them. At least these 3. We're getting into some other ones here. A little bit more expensive. Still iconic brands. These 3 are all USA made knives, where these 2 are not. So let's get into this guy here. This is, if you've been watching the channel for not very long, you've seen this one. I bought it at California Custom Knife Show this year in October. So it hasn't been that long, but it does have the bear on it. Shirogorov. This is the Ursus model, which is, I really, I really didn't expect to be getting a Shiro at the show. But when I got there and they had these for $600 and I happen to have that kind of cash on me, I just said, hey, this is one I've always thought about. I figured I might get one eventually, but at that price, it's pretty cool. And I've seen some videos on it since, and people say, obviously there's a little less machining going on. It's a little more plain look. But as far as the tight tolerances and how it's made, it's got the double row bearings on it, so it's super smooth. And I guess that's really what people like. You can get some super fancy ones that are going to be $1,000, $2,000 easily. But this one was like $650. And yeah, I am very happy with it. Just not only to have a Shirogorov in my collection, but to be able to experience and be able to carry it in my pocket. Now, I will carry this one, but I don't tend to use it for much. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, this would probably be considered a safe queen, even though I do carry it on a regular basis. I do use it to cut, but I'm not going to, if it's going to be anything serious cutting-wise, I always got 2-3 knives on me. I'll pick another knife to do anything hard so that I don't damage this very, very beautiful knife. It's got this steel that I hadn't heard of before. It is called, you probably can't read it, Chromax PM. Chromax. So I don't know if that's like similar to L-Max with a little bit more chromium in it. I think that's where it came from. PM powdered metal. So it is a high-end steel. It sounds like it's just like a little their own take on a certain steel. This is a knife that's made in Russia. So maybe it's more common in Russia than it is in the US. I don't have very many Russian knives. I have a couple from that brand Dagger, but other than that, not much in the way of Russian knives. Very cool. Beautiful knife. The action is just fabulous. It's a flipper only, but I'm definitely willing to deal with that with all the other pluses that are involved. And last but not least, definitely not least, it's certainly in the price range. This was a very special knife, is a very special knife for me. And it's because my girlfriend got it for me for my 60th birthday, which was last April. And she was very specific about me picking it out. And we talked about it because she wanted to buy me a knife that would be special for a special birthday. And she didn't care about the price. I guess if it was like a $5,000 knife, she probably would have been a little bit more worried about it. But she kind of said within the 1,000 to 2,000 range. And yeah, this is just a beautiful knife. I remember first hearing about this back when before he hit 100,000 subs, and he was just really starting to come alive on his channel. He was really starting to get lots and lots of subs. And yeah, the one thing about this one is that it's so hard to keep fingerprints off of it. So very hard. Anyhow, fortunately, I'm not super hyper worried about it, because I'll spend time cleaning it. I'll come back to brand new, and then I touch it one time, and then all of a sudden it's got fingerprints on it. It's still a beautiful knife, even with that. Regardless, okay. So like I said, Neves was doing some big giveaways, and he had this guy. He was calling Mr. Fantastic, or I don't know. You probably remember Mr. Wonderful. I think it was Mr. Wonderful or something like that. That was providing knives for giveaways on his channel, and there were knives that were just amazing. That anybody was giving these away on YouTube, and I was all in on that. I put in my name into the giveaway. Of course, I didn't win, but man, that was like, wow, that would be just amazing to win. I think he had 2 of them, and just to win 1 of them. And then, so after that, I always had my eye on. I've always been a fan of Japanese. I trained some Japanese martial arts. Very big fan of the samurai, the whole mythology of making of samurai swords and folding the steel and all that kind of stuff. So I do already have that kind of interest in the Japanese and Japanese knives. So that was part of it. Plus the fact that these are just beautiful. I mean, and it's different because it does have that zero. The edge comes down to, it doesn't have a bevel down near the edge. It tapers down. I think you can kind of see a little area near the edge that looks like it would be a bevel, but I think that's because the coating is not there at the very end. This one, what kind of steel is this one? This is a special steel. It's YXR7, and I read up on it. I'm not a big steel snob, but it's definitely a special steel. So anyway, titanium handle material, which is just beautifully polished. All this is so mirror polished. I'm not a big mirror polish kind of guy, but this one, because of the way, just the artistic aspect of the handles and how you see it in the light, is just beautiful. And that's all the arguments that I was giving when we were discussing, because we were talking about maybe an Arius or something like that. But we both kind of ended up agreeing on this one here. Made in Japan. Ended up getting a good deal on it. There was, because their website is all in. They'll say the cost, but then there's a price in the U.S. dollar to Japanese yen, and at the time it was favorable for me. So she ended up paying less than $1,000 for it, even though the price tag on it was $1,200. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's so smooth. It's not dropping because, again, we're talking about washers, but it's super smooth. And you see people do this when they have these kind of knives where they just kind of push it closed. and it's not dragging at all. It's not dropping. It's just very, very smooth. Beautiful knife, and a Grail for me. So that's it, guys. That's it. I mean, I have other knives that are somewhat Grails, and some of the arguments people were saying about what makes things a Grail, then I would probably have more Grails in my collection, because there's certainly knives that I've dreamed about and thought about for long periods of time and really wanted, and finally pulled the trigger on. These 5 and the 5 before, oh sorry, and the 5 before are definitely ones that are a higher level, and they kind of stand out above the rest. And that's, for me, that's what a Grail is. And so, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. A little flexing, I guess. I hope nobody's feeling like, bummed out or anything like that, or I was at that point where I was not spending this much money on knives, and I kind of got to it. Some of it is just that, I managed to, I'm not the smartest guy financially. I think I managed to outwork my stupidity type thing, and I kind of worked my way up in a company, and, it's just, I think a lot of it's hard work, and a lot of it, this is, the result of hard work. Not that people that can't afford these knives aren't working hard, but it took me a lot of years. Obviously, the 60th birthday, so I'm not exactly young, and certainly up until the last couple of years, I wouldn't have been able to afford these knives. So, hope you know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say I'm putting this out for enjoyment, and I hope that it doesn't trigger anybody, it doesn't make anybody unhappy. So. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, over and over again. Sorry about that. And I will see you on that next video. Bye.